Oh, he will defeat Gojo, you say? Well, let's see if that's true. Thank you to our regular patrons, Rebel 4765, and Gem Lord, and Sean. And a very big thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Rebel 4765. And another very big thank you to our $10 patron, Robbie Uchiha. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. And another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. Now, we have this breakdown / discussion and review and analysis of Eternal Flames. Why Sukuna shall defeat Gojo. Narrative discussion vid. Please don't leave your own thoughts on who's going to win between Sukuna and Gojo in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. It's for as low as $1 a month. Get the exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the live reaction. What's up, guys? Welcome to here, and here we are to take a breakdown and do a breakdown on Eternal Flames, why Sukuna will defeat Gojo, narrative discussion vid. And I'm excited. Obviously, if you could not tell, if you did not know, I believe Gojo will win narratively, but we have an opposing view here. And I always love me a good opposing view, so I'm down to hear it. I'm down to let's talk about it. I'm a little bit excited on saying it. If you want to watch the original video without all my pausing and talking and annoying stuff, like I would call it analysis, but really I just be chatting with y'all. So like, if you want the video without all my annoying chatting, the link to the original video will be in the description down below, so go click on that, and the link to Eternal Flames channel will also be in the description down below. Please go sub up, go support. We love more content. Gosh darn it, we always need more content. And Eternal Flame makes really good content, so if you enjoy any of my content, you will definitely enjoy Eternal Flames. So please go peep. Now, let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Still a fire intro.
Hello everyone, Eternal Flame here, and welcome to my video on why Gojo will end up losing to Sukuna in some way, shape, or form in the end. Alright, so before getting into this video,
before getting into his video, I'm going to tell you my opinion. I just think, like, call me crazy here, but you don't call your character the strongest character in the manga. You don't describe your character as just the simple idea of a power ceiling in the verse. And you don't have your character be so difficult to write that you take them out of the narrative for 3 years without your character being the strongest. And the strongest doesn't lose. He gets outplayed, but he doesn't lose. But that's just my simple thoughts on it. If you don't want to watch my Gojo vs. Sukuna video, there you go. There's a whole argument. But let's see what Eternal Flame has to say.
I need to say this right here, right now. This is not a power scaling video whatsoever. This is not about who is stronger.
Right, so we are going pure narrative here. Pure narrative. Okay. So is my stuff, is that kind of scaling? I think the strongest stuff, like bringing up the strongest stuff in the power scaling stuff, is kind of scaling. So tackling it purely from a narrative side. All right, purely from a narrative side, JJK's ending this year, and it's a Shonen Jump manga. I don't see us ending super depressing. And I don't see any future, once again, this goes back into power scaling, I don't see any future where if Gojo loses to Sukuna, unless Sukuna is like on the verge of death and get taken out by someone else, I don't see Sukuna I don't see us ending this series with Sukuna ruling over humanity and eating people as he pleases. I just don't see that. I don't see that happening. Gege spun a super dark narrative up to this point, but it ain't that dark. It ain't that dark. I don't see it going that dark. But that's the main narrative thing. And the other thing is that, like, the series is ending. So the good guys have to win. It's in the contract. One way or another. Even in... Is that spoilers? There's another very popular manga that is super duper dark. But the good guys won in the end. So, like... Don't sleep on the good guys. Don't sleep on the good guys. Things can pop off. Do not be surprised. Let's see.
This is literally just analyzing what I think is going to happen in the fight, and why ultimately I think Gojo will lose, and why Gojo winning is not actually as good as a lot of people think, at least narratively. No. So let's get straight into why I think Gojo will lose against Sukuna. Now in this video, I'm not going to say how I think he will lose. It might be because Sukuna will catch him off guard, it might be Sukuna overpowering him, it might even be kenjaku doing something. We don't really know. However, I just think that Gojo is going to lose no matter what happens, no matter how it is, no matter how cheap it is, no matter how, like, if it's pure power based, in some way, shape, or form, I think Gojo is going to end up losing purely because it would be a lot worse of a story if Gojo ended up winning against Sukuna, in my opinion, and this is the video to explain why. Because Gojo and Sukuna have little to no beef, like, whatsoever.
Keep the shirt, but little to no beef. Who's Sukuna inside of right now? Who's Sukuna all up in the guts of? It ain't Itadori. I'll tell you that. It ain't Itadori. It's Gojo's adopted son. And like here's the thing, right? I get it. People say, well, you know, technically, we don't know if Gojo really adopted. Like, he raised Megami. He sure did more of a job than Toji ever did. How old was Megami when Gojo adopted him? Like 5? If that? He was going to school. Let's be generous. Let's say Megami was 7. I have no clue. Let me just double check. I could probably Google that. No, because it's been over. Megami's 15. And it's been over a decade. Hold on. Let me double check. Let me pull my mathematics. JJK Wiki, don't fail me now. JJK Wiki, don't fail me now. But let's see. Gojo's 28. Megami's 15. How old was Gojo in the Gojo's past arc? How old was Gojo in the past arc? 2016. He was a second-year student. So what? He was 16? He raised Megami for 12 years. That's his son. That's his son. For 12 years. Okay, that doesn't. Okay, not 12. It can't be 12. That doesn't make sense. But it's 2018. How old was Megami? Wait a second. How old is Megami? Because it's 2018 in the manga. 2006. That's 12 years, right? Am I tripping? How old is Megami? Did he wait or something? Like, how did that happen? Yeah, because Megami's 15. 2002, 2006. So Megami was 4. Megami was 4 by the time of 2006, maybe, if Gojo picked him up in December. I don't remember the exact timeline. So regardless, Megami was 4 or 5 or something. He's either 3 to 5, whatever mathematics it is. He was 3 to 5, and then Gojo took him in, paid for all his bills, raised that boy up, and enlisted him in school. Like, legitimately, that's his kid, bro. That's his kid. That's his son, bro. And Sukuna has slid up in his son. And that's beef. That's beef right there. These two have a reason to clash. There's one. It's just the have no beef. Wait, let me hear that again. Maybe I missed it. Let me hear it again.
Ended up winning against Sukuna, in my opinion, and this is the video to explain why. Because Gojo and Sukuna have little to no beef, like, whatsoever. And
little to no beef, like, whatsoever? Nah, dog. I can't get. Okay. I can give some things. I can't give you that one, bro. I can't give you that one. No beef. He's in his son, Brody. He's had Megami for almost as long as he hasn't had Megami. Like, Gojo's 28. He's had Megami since he was 14. No, I'm kidding. 28. 16. 16. He raised that man. Gojo was a teen father. And Sukuna's now in his son. I think he got beef with Sukuna. I think he does have narrative beef with Sukuna. I know what he's about to say. I have a guess about what he's about to segue into, though. He's going to say it'd be more satisfying narratively for Itadori to beat Sukuna. And I understand. Sukuna has a much more negative impact on Itadori's life than Gojo's. Gojo popped out into something that's taken over. But yeah, relatively speaking, Sukuna put Itadori through a lot worse. But that's a little bit. That's jacking it a little bit. Saying he has no beef with Sukuna, little to none whatsoever. Like, that's a little. I can't rock with that. I'm not gonna lean with it, rock with that. That I don't. I ain't buying that one. Not today, Chief. Not today. Maybe another day. Maybe if you had caught me unawares, but no, you can't open with that. I know you, but I know Eternal Flame. Eternal Flame's got a better reason than that. So I know this is probably just like the opener. This is the hook you in. What? This is the first minute and 22 seconds of the video. This is the hook you in. It's supposed to draw a reaction out of you like that. Like I do things like that occasionally, where I'll be like, I'll say something blasphemous and outlandish within like the first 2 minutes to really grab somebody. So I'm gonna assume that's not it. Because no beef at all. Like I get it. Compared to Itadori, it's not that much. But possessing his son of 12 years and literally causing the destruction and malice for thousands of years, and one of the main reasons why Sukuna's students, people we know he cares deeply about, have suffered immensely. I don't think little to no beef is accurate, but I'll let it rock.
It feels like a literal Deus Ex Machina. Like, they got Gojo out the box and like, oh, Gojo can now save all our problems. Gojo can fix all of our problems. That is not what I think Gege is going to do. That's not what I think the story's going to end up having happening. I
get what you mean by that. But, like, if we're talking purely about narrative, we literally have interview statements from the author who's like, Gojo made the story too hard to write. That's why I put him in a box for 3 years. Like, Gege straight up, and that's just purely narrative. Gojo is just so stupid as a character in terms of raw stats that I had to put him away. And I had the main villain throw him in the ocean, 8,000 meters deep, and throw cursed spirits on top of that. Like you don't do that. You don't do that. And like the whole win con, you gotta remember, the whole point of the culling games was one to save Samuki, which ended up going left real quick. But the other main one was to get Gojo back. Why? Because Gojo is like, he's right. He is right in the idea that it may seem a little bit unsatisfying if Gojo really just gets reduced to like a Deus Ex Machina. Like he comes out the box and then solves everyone's problems. But like the narrative has already tortured our characters enough. Like, all of our characters, except for Akari. Akari and Kirawa are just like, they're still vibing. Akari and Kirawa are still vibing to the ultimate degree. But, like, think of every other character and how traumatized they are now. Maki, super traumatized. Itadori, super traumatized. Mai, gone. Todo, missing a hand. Inumaki, missing an arm. Yuta, his friends. The love of his life. Traumatized, burned, missing an arm, all that. Panda, small. I guess he's fine. Miwa and Momo, they're fine too. But they're friends. They're also traumatized because they lost their friend. Everyone's hurt. This is not a happy ending, bro. Like, Shibuya... like, the big thing, I would agree that Gojo would be kind of Deus Ex Machina-esque and it'd be unsatisfying for him to win if, like, everything got fixed. Like, Nanami walks back on set and is like, hey, I'm alive again. Nobara walks back out and, like, it's like that studio audience applause of like, oh, hey, guess you guys miss me. Like, I get that. But even then, if Nobara comes back, she's missing an eye. She's still traumatized too. She's been out the narrative for 3 years. Soon enough, Nobara's going to be out of the narrative for as long as Gojo was. Like, if you really think about it, what is it? It's like 3 more months. It's going to be like 3 more months, and then Nobara will be out of the narrative for as long as Gojo's been gone. Yuki's gone. That's just a character that's executed. Like, we've lost a lot already. Gojo, like, say... Let's be super generous and say next chapter we have them on time skip. Gojo comes out, Hollow Purple Sukuna. Sukuna's gone. Hollow Purple is Kenjaku. Kenjaku's gone. And the world's saved. Megumi's still dead. Our Deuteragonist is still gone. Our female lead is still gone. Itadori's still trauma. Like, it's still a bittersweet ending regardless. Like, even with Gojo being as strong as he is and coming to fix all the problems, it would still not be a happy fairy tale ending. Everyone would still be dead, lost, and traumatized. Gojo would have to bury his best friend again for the second time. This is still sad and depressing. Like, I understand what, because this is the argument that a lot of people use. Well, it wouldn't be satisfying. It wouldn't fit into the darker narrative tones that Gege set up. It wouldn't really match the rest of the narrative. But, like, considering the whole narrative has been slopping Gojo off. Like, I've read a couple series in my day, not a lot. I'm not like the anime man or any real like super renowned any manga YouTuber. I have not read every series under the sun, but I've read a decent chunk. A couple, if you will. A couple. And with that being the case, I've seen series that seem to wrap up way too fairy tale-esque. And like, I mean fairy tale like the anime. I haven't even watched fairy tale. I still haven't read that. People have been begging me to read that for forever. I can't get past the first chapter, y'all. Give me time. Give me time. I'll get past the first chapter, and I bet it'll be peak. Trust me. It's the same issue I have with One Piece. I still, ironically enough, I read the new One Piece chapters every single time they drop, though. But I don't react to them anymore because I'm scared. But regardless of that, like, we are not gonna get like a blank ending. We aren't gonna get like a blank ending. Like you know which ones. If you know which ones I'm talking about, you know which ones I'm talking about. Manga that ended too nicely, too perfectly, too beautifully. Like, oh wow, everyone got to be happy in the end and they lived forever and ever after. Like, you aren't gonna get things like that. At least in my opinion, you aren't gonna get things like that from JJK. Because we've already lost. Like in that other major popular series that's a member of a certain trio of dark things that happen to end in a certain way, even though the good guys won in the end, it was just as depressing as the hypothetical ending to Jujutsu Kaisen would be if Gojo came in and solved all the problems, because a bunch of people were still dead. Everyone was still just gone. Just because a few characters got to live happily ever after, not even, because we have Chainsaw Man Part 2. Spoilers, it's Chainsaw Man. But like, we know that you can have the good guys win and it still be bad. And this ending for JDK is still bad. Nanami's still dead. Nobara's still gone. Megumi would end up dying. Gojo would have to slay his best friend all over again. People are still traumatized. I don't know. I don't think I agree with the idea that it would feel unsatisfying or anything. Especially considering this is a battle that's been built up since the start of the narrative. Like, look at this panel. This is from what, like chapter 2? Chapter 3? Maybe 4? Like, this is a battle that we've been building, like, straight up 1 brick, 2 brick, red brick, blue brick. Like, we've legit been building this for a while now. So this is not a battle that's narratively dissatisfying in that sense. It's not like these two characters have no interest in fighting each other. This is a battle that's been built up for these two characters since the start of the series. And it happens to intertwine with a character that both characters are interested in. 1, because it's the character's son, and 2, because Sukuna is interested in Megumi as a vessel. So there's that intrigue too. This is the strongest of the Heian era, the prime era of Jujutsu, and the strongest of the modern era, and just according to Gege, the strongest character in the manga in general, fighting off. So there's build-up on that front. The two parallels are the strongest. These are two different types of honored ones. The honored one that disregarded everything but came back down to earth to live amongst the commoners, and the honored one who still sits in the heavens looking down upon the earth and judging it from its position on the throne. So there's that parallel too. Like, there's so many parallels and investment and build-up for both of these characters to fight. Now, obviously that's them fighting, but Gojo winning. What build-up is there for that? The slop that he's gotten. He's the strongest. I had to take him out the narrative because he's too powerful. He's too broken. Can he shake it? Our main villain is shaking and quaking in his boots at the sheer thought of fighting this man. Like, I don't know. The lack of investment part, though, and the idea that it would be unsatisfying for Gojo to win, no, I think it would be cathartic. It would be cathartic for Sukuna to get dog walked by Jogo, because Sukuna's tortured us for like the past 3 years. Ever since Gojo got sealed away, and even before that, he's been messing and geeking and freaking with us. So having Gojo come in, bang, that man out of existence, I'd be down with it. I would lead one to rock with it. I'd be satisfied, but let's see what else.
I think people realize how bad the story would actually be if Gojo ends up winning against Sukuna rather than like a final battle between another character and Sukuna. Because if Gojo wins against Sukuna, like Gojo and Sukuna, they have a little bit of beef, which is literally just deciding who is the strongest, but those two like barely actually speak to each other.
I've already said it, but dog, this came out 3 days ago. You know he's in his son. You know he's in his son. Like, that's a little bit more than beef. And if I know which other character you're talking about, I've seen it. I've seen it in my own comment section. Oh, Itadori should be the one to take down Sukuna. And you know what? I'm down with that. Here's the thing, right? My perfect dream scenario. Gojo has a super insane, extreme diff fight with Sukuna. Both are practically on the verge of death. And then Gojo's like, as he's standing over Sukuna, who preferably would be like on his back, like bleeding out. Like the Gojo's really done the worst to him. Maharaga's whale is strewn about somewhere. The tranquil deer is beheaded somewhere. The piercing bull's like up in a tree. Like legitimately, all the Shikigami are laid out. The whole area is leveled. Gojo's breathing heavy, and he's like, I want to do it. I want to do it so badly, but I'm not gonna lose my son. And I have a person just for you. And then Yuji walks up. It can be like Yuji could have been watching the entire battle, ready to hop in case Gojo was getting pressed, or Yuji could be fighting Kenjaku and they've beaten Kenjaku off screen or something like that. Well, not off screen, but like in a previous battle, and we've just been following the battle of Gojo and Sukuna. And then in my dream world, Sukuna, after realizing what's about to happen, the dramatic irony of the weak coming to hunt down the strong after all that talk that Sukuna had about Yuji being weak, Yuji being uninteresting, Yuji being nonsense, Yuji being fodder, Yuji being dumb, stupid, and ignorant. Sukuna rolls over and starts to try and crawl away, digging his nails into the ground and trying to drag himself away from Itadori, who just walks him down and starts pummeling, like straight bang, 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 and just starts slamming Megumi, slamming Maguna. But notably, he's mastered the soul so well up to this point that he can see the difference. Sukuna's soul has been extremely weakened after the battle with Gojo, but Gojo has no way to attack the soul, but Yuji does. He's used to it. He's understood it, and he got the notes from Yuki. And he slams Gojo, well, no, not slams Gojo, slams Sukuna so badly that Sukuna's literally like one hit away from being vaporized. And what you would have Yuji do is pick Sukuna up by the scruff, to have his fist dead in his face and say something like, "How's my suffering?" And boom! Glass his jaw one last time, and Sukuna is destroyed. That's how I do it. If I wanted to give Itadori the win. Because admittedly, the power scale in me just doesn't buy Itadori getting honored 1 tier strong in a month, or however long he has, or in the midst of the battle with Sukuna. I don't buy that. I think the story would actually be worse to me if Itadori beat Sukuna magically. I just think so. I think Gojo should do most of the work, and Itadori should come finish it off. So both get the retribution. Gojo got the fight of his dreams. Sukuna got the fight of his dreams, fighting the strongest, to be the strongest. And Yuji gets his retribution by being able to save his friend, prove Sukuna wrong, and show that the weak have value in a world of the strong. So I think that would work. But saying the narrative will be bad because Gojo's going to beat Sukuna, I don't think so.
Other than that little thing of a declaration of who would be the strongest between them. Yes, I know Sukuna and Gojo have this.
And by the way, how often did Yuji and Sukuna really talk? Like, let's see. Binding vow after Yuji perishes. Yuji giving up his body to Sukuna in that same arc. Sukuna telling him that he's the Fallen. And Sukuna telling him, "Hey, brat, look at this." For the most part, those two don't even communicate that much. Sukuna, one of the biggest things that people love about Sukuna, and I like this about him too, is that he's not really that present in the narrative up until recently. I would not blame people if reading JJK week by week, if the Shibuya arc was coming out week by week, I wouldn't blame people if they straight up forgot Sukuna was even in Yuji. Because it's such a rarely brought up plot point. Sukuna doesn't speak that much. He's a man of very few words. He's an extremely mysterious character. So yeah, Gojo and Sukuna have already talked like twice in the entire manga. Well, 3 times. Gojo literally fought Sukuna. Like, Gojo fought Sukuna, so that's 1. 2, he talks to Sukuna when they're walking to Jujutsu High, and 3, he talks to Sukuna in this recent chapter. So Itadori has communicated with Sukuna 2 more times than Gojo has. Inside his own body, at least. Outside the body, they've had 1 more interaction. So 3 times. Gojo has talked to Sukuna half as many times as Yuji has. I don't know. They still have communicated. They have a mutual respect and need and interest in fighting each other. I think it works.
Entire loneliness thing going on that's been recently introduced, or at least Sukuna has it, but I don't think that's wise. That little thing of a declaration of who would be the strongest between them. Yes, I know Sukuna and Gojo have this entire loneliness thing going on that's been recently introduced, or at least Sukuna has it, but I don't think that's why Gojo's going to win.
I'll admit, it's recently introduced for Sukuna, but the idea of loneliness has been a very big part of Gojo's character since the beginning. It's been a very big part of being the honored one. He's the only one. As he says, I always flip this line on him whenever I talk about, like, if I want JJK to have a super dark ending, Gojo's the only one alive at the end. Everyone else dies but Gojo. Itadori, Nobara, Hikari, Yuta, everyone else on the good guy side dies. It's just Gojo at the end. Because the line he says, I alone on heaven and earth am the honored one. He's the only one. That has been a part of Sukuna, of Gojo's character. And it's been implied with Sukuna too, before even the Yorozu fight. I know the Yorozu fight really starts to emphasize it, but the idea of the honored ones feeling isolated upon the peak of the mountain that they sit upon has been a big part of both of their narratives, and is another way that they parallel. Sukuna and Gojo are direct narrative parallels. They are literally the peaks of their respective sides. They both are the strongest, quote unquote, within their own respective sides. They also parallel each other in their ways of loneliness. They parallel each other in both being honored ones, and they have opposing ideologies in terms of what being an honored one means. They have way more parallels than Yuji and Sukuna do. Yuji and Sukuna are direct opposites. And that's what works so well, the fact that they are direct opposites. Yuji values life while Sukuna couldn't care about it. And Yuji wants to fight for the innocent and the weak, while Sukuna believes that the innocent and the weak should just roll over and perish for all he cares. Or just stay out of the way of the strong. Like, they are opposites. I'd say it's more interesting for Sukuna to fight Gojo, since Gojo's pretty much a reflection of Sukuna, like Sukuna is a reflection of Gojo. I say it's more narratively and characterly it's more narratively interesting and more narratively relevant for Gojo to fight Sukuna and for Gojo to win. To prove, because essentially this is a battle of ideologies. Like, strip the characters away and you just strip them down to their basic ideologies. Both of them are honored ones. But what they wish to do with their power as the honored ones is the real question that Jujutsu Kaisen is posing as of recent. What should you do when you stand at the peak of the mountain? Should you step over the strong or step over the weak and push them down to stay down where they are? Or should you try to uplift the weak so they can stand with you as the strongest? Whoever wins this fight is what determines who's right. Because if Sukuna wins, then he's right. The honored one should just be peak of the mountain, step over the weak are worthless, wrong, and fodder. Do you think Gege is going to try and send that message? I don't think so. Once again, I don't think Shonen Jump's going to allow him to send that message. Like, once again, I always joke, like, we're in Shonen Jump. But it's true. I don't see Shonen Jump really being like, because that's just the obvious narrative reading. Two honored ones, two strongest. One believes that the weak are worthless and fodder and food. The other believes that the weak have potential to become the strong and should work together alongside the strongest. I think the guy who believes in the power of friendship is going to win. Like, versus the guy who doesn't believe in it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, though. Maybe I just seeing JJK in a different narrative and character writing light. But
that is why Gojo is going to end up losing in some way, shape, or form through a cheap shot. Maybe. I don't know. Like, maybe Sukuna will just beat him? We don't really know yet, but that's not important. That's not the focus of this vid. Because I have been saying this for a while in several comments, and I really stand by this opinion, and I don't think I'll ever change on this. Sukuna's final battle should not be against Gojo. It should be Yuji. And that is for one reason and one reason alone. Yuji and Sukuna have been enemies since day one and perfect parallels to each other. They have such large amount of beef with each other and such large amount of hatred toward.
I think that's actually kind of wrong. Sukuna does not care about Yuji. Sukuna does not give one iota about Yuji. Yuji is the one who cares a lot about Sukuna. Yuji is the one who hates Sukuna's gut. Yuji is the one who has all the investment and really wants to tear down Sukuna. Sukuna has never expressed interest. At most, Yuji's been a nuisance. A stopgap. Something in the way. Like, you ever stumbled over something in the road? Or stumbled over something on a sidewalk? That's what Yuji is to Sukuna. Sukuna could not care less. He goes and bullies Yuji every single time they interact. He considers torturing Yuji a fun pastime. The only person we've seen Sukuna express direct interest in ever combating and ever fighting is Gojo. He's the one person that Sukuna's like, yeah, I want you. Like, you? I want you. Like, on some, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I want you. You're the one I want to fight. You're the one I want to get rid of. The moment I get control of this brat's body, I want smoke with you. Not Yuji. So the dynamic is super skewed on Yuji's side. So I'm not even sure about that. I don't think Sukuna hates Yuji. This is gonna sound crazy, but remember what Escanor said. Why would I hate something that's so far beneath me? Like, that's how Sukuna feels about Yuji. He has no emotional investment in him. It would actually be more effort for Sukuna to invest in Yuji. Meanwhile, Yuji cares a lot about Sukuna. I'll give you that. Yuji, obviously, he wants the ones. He definitely wants the ones with Sukuna. But Sukuna couldn't care less about the ones. And that's why I think it would be better if Yuji finished off Sukuna. Not if he fought Sukuna. Because if Yuji fights Sukuna, when, at least right now, once again, Yuji could get a massive, girthy Giga Amp that sends him to Honored One levels through the roof. He could get that. Don't get me wrong. It is entirely possible. I would not even be that shocked if he did. But I think that's more narratively unsatisfying. Yuji getting a super magical crazy power-up that now allows him to beat 20 Finger Sukuna? I don't know. And I know, right? Because it's a common thing that happens in narratives. And I guess that's the thing. People are going to be like, well, why would you not want that? Like, it happens all the time in stories. Like, people get beaten by characters, or the main character usually gets a massive endgame power-up that allows him to do things. And it's true. It happens in it doesn't happen in the one series that I said ended to Fairy Tail like. It doesn't happen in the other recent series that I said ended with the good guys winning. It doesn't happen, but no, it happens in, well, Seven Deadly Sins is out. It happens in Seven Deadly Sins. It happens in, that's a spoiler, so I won't say that because I know it's not animated yet. But it happens in another series. The main character gets a big final crazy power up, and it technically happens in the other series that's super popular. The main character gets a super crazy final power up, and they get what they want. Dragon Ball, almost every single arc ends like that. Like, main character gets a massive super crazy power up and then wins. So I'm not saying there's not a precedent for Yuji getting a massive amp, going crazy on Sukuna. I'm just saying that would be less satisfying. It's been built up. Don't get me wrong. It has been built up almost to the same degree that Sukuna fighting Gojo has been built up. It has been established numerous times in the narrative that people can spontaneously evolve massively. We've seen it with Maki. We've seen it with Gojo. We've seen it with Yuta. We've seen it with a bunch of different characters. That in JJK, you get the right mentality shift and the right kind of... Heck, it just recently happened with Yuji. This, Liberated Yuji, is a big example of that. We've seen it. People can make massive leaps in power. But you're telling me Yuji's going to make the leap to 20 Finger? Really? You think Yuji gonna make that leap? How happy would you be if Yuji made that leap? Like, I get it. You may think it's more, it is, and I even agree, it's more narratively satisfying for Yuji to defeat Sukuna than Gojo. But like, with the brain turned on, how would you feel that Yuji just leaped 5 tiers? Probably more. In terms of just raw power. He leaped 5 tiers and managed to magically beat Sukuna. I wouldn't like that. I'm never a big fan of the great final power creep. That's something I call, like, whenever the characters at the end of the narrative just get sent through the roof power scaling wise. Like, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. The great final power creep is never something I'm a fan of. I like it for scaling senses because I can then take characters everywhere. Like, characters from a series that I'm still planning a bunch of battles for, against Kingdom Hearts characters, against Bleach characters, against characters of that ilk. Like, I'm happy. Because without the great final power creep, they wouldn't be able to be in those discussions at all. So like the scaling side of me likes it, but the narrative side of me is never a fan of that. That's super unsatisfying. Oh, of course the main character gets a big magical power up that allows him to defeat one of the major villains. Of course. That's never satisfying. But Gojo, who's been established for literally since day one, Gojo's been set up to be the strongest, be the guy, be Timothy Herner essentially. Yeah, makes sense to me that he would be that guy and beat Sukuna. It seems well within the repertoire. It seems within the wheelhouse. That's been set up. Yuji who is barely contesting 15 finger, not really being able to do much damage to him and just being barely able to keep up with him speed-wise, suddenly leaping to 20 finger levels seems a little bit stupid. I think that's way more narratively... Well, no. It's sensically, it's a lot less satisfying than Gojo having a pitch fight and beating Sukuna. If you had to ask me which one makes more sense within the narrative established so far, Gojo defeating Sukuna in a fight makes way more sense than Itadori does. Even if I do agree that in terms of suffering, Yuji has much more suffering caused by Sukuna. But Sukuna has no interest in him. None at all. But let's
each other. Like, Sukuna treats Yuji completely different from literally any other person in the narrative. Like, look at the fight between Sukuna, Yuji, and Maki, for example, where Sukuna is purposefully repeatedly insulting Yuji. He calls him, like, he laughs at him, etc. He just feels way too prideful around Yuji. Meanwhile, he is fully willing to compliment Maki. Sukuna has a...
Yeah, because Maki's actually impressive to him. I've never seen someone like Maki before. Sukuna mocks everybody. This kind of insulting and reaction is not Itadori exclusive. Every single time we see Sukuna fight, he's styling, laughing at, and mocking people. He mocks the finger bearer, he mocks Joko. He finds interest in things that genuinely interest him, like Maharaga, like Maki, like Gojo, ironically enough. Maguna is full... I said Maguna because we used to see him like that. But Sukuna is willing to give props when props are meant to be given. But anyone who doesn't interest him gets the Yuji treatment. Yuji's treatment by Sukuna is not unique. The only person Sukuna has expressed genuine interest in fighting is Gojo. That's unique. That is something that one-on-one is the only thing. Just like the only person that Gojo has expressed genuine proper interest in fighting and said that, oh, it may be interesting if I fought them, is Sukuna. Those two are the only ones that have that parallel. They're the only ones that are locked in with each other. Not Yuji. Not at all. So I don't know about that, dog. I don't know. You kinda... I mean, we aren't even halfway through the video yet. So, like, I'll let you rock. I'll let you cook a little bit more. I ain't seeing it so far.
Yuji. He laughs at him whenever chance he gets. He literally just immediately thinks, how can I screw over this kid the worst? Like, they have such hatred for each other. Not to mention, Yuji's...
It's gonna sound bad. Everyone, at least everyone I know, they have a game that they play with their friends. They have a game that they play with their friends, and one friend just is not good at the game. And when you play that game with that friend, and you can just tell they aren't good at it, you say some atrocious thing. Like, remember how everyone was freaking out when like PlayStation was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to leak the party chats. Like, because everyone knows you say diabolical things to people you don't care about. No, see, because I care about my friends. I care about all my friends, even the one that's really bad at fighters that we do Kyo. So I care about him, but like I say diabolical, mean, and atrocious things to him at every chance I get whenever we play fighters. Mainly because he like whoops me in like every other game we play. Like it's only fighters. I can only beat him in fighters. For some reason, he cannot get. He's really good at Guilty Gear. I don't get why he's bad at fighters. Like I'm average at Guilty Gear, but he's really good at Guilty Gear. Like in all the fighting games we play, whether it be Smash, he's really good. He's really good at Guilty Gear. For some reason, fighters just doesn't work for him. And I can tell you, he always trash talks me whenever he gets the chance, and I always trash talk him whenever he gets the chance. That doesn't mean I hate him. That doesn't mean, like, I go throughout my day, like, I really want to, I just want to throw fisticuffs with him. No! That's the same thing Sukuna has with Yuji. It's like, yeah, if the opportunity's there, he'll laugh at his face. If he's fighting Yuji and Yuji's failing to do anything, he'll laugh at his face. He'll do all that. But that doesn't mean he hates him. He couldn't care less. Once again, you need to be in... personally, I don't think I hate anybody. not on some like Vinland Saga, I have no enemies type beat. But no, like I just don't think I have enough genuine care to hate anybody. Hatred leaves a lot of hold on your heart. It do. It weigh you down a lot. I ain't got no time to be hating, buddy. I am way too busy to hate on people. So like, I don't think Sukuna hates Yuji. I think Sukuna is at best different and at most disappointed in Yuji. Meanwhile, Yuji definitely hates Sukuna. I'll give that. Yuji definitely hates Sukuna, but I don't think Sukuna hates Yuji. I think that's a misinterpretation of the character and their interactions, because his interactions with Yuji are not unique. He bullies everybody that he interacts with if they're worth bullying. He laughs in Ryu's face, laughs in Jogo's, laughs in Maharaga's, laughs in the Finger Bearers. Sukuna's just a bully. He's just not a nice person. Except for when it comes to Gojo, who he wants to smoke with. That's a unique character interaction right there.
The entire goal, the entire narrative has been to kill Sukuna in some way, shape, or form. Sure, yes, he's enjoying the fact that he can help his friends out in the long run, but his goal has always been to kill Sukuna. Like, in some way, shape, or form. Like, in the beginning of the story, yes, he wanted to die with a lot of friends, but he still knew he would have to kill Sukuna. Now it just completely shifted to, I'm going to kill Sukuna no matter what, especially with what recently happened in the manga. And in comparison to that, like, let me just compare it to you. Would you rather have these two people who have had this narrative buildup of beef for the entire manga fight each other to the end, and either protag wins or in some way, shape, or form they tie? I don't really know. Or would you rather have this random guy who had basically been sealed for 3 years IRL fight against Sukuna, purely because just one day in a wrestling match, Sukuna was like, okay, I was extremely nerfed, but when I get full power, I'm going to beat you. Like, that is basically the comparison here.
Yes! I want the guy that was locked in a box for 3 years to throw hands with the person who's been waiting to throw hands with him. I've been waiting. I've been itching and feeding and scratching for years. I want this fight. This is the most hype fight in the entire series. This is going to put every single battle, whether it be Akari versus Kashima, whether it be Mahito versus Todo and Yuji, whether it be whether it be Hanami versus Todo and Yuji, regardless, yes, I want the wrestling match. I want the wrestling match that's been built up since chapter... I'm getting out the Googler. Give me a second. I'm gonna go double check when this statement was made. Realistically, I don't have to go that far, but let me just open up. When did this statement happen? I've gone back to chapter 1. Chapter 1. It's not chapter 1. Chapter 3. This battle, realistically, it gets established when Sukuna gets dogged on by Gojo in chapter 2. But chapter 3 is when these two admitted that, we're gonna have to fight. This is a battle that's been built up ever since then. But this is before Yuji's really caused any suffering by Sukuna. By chapter 3, Yuji doesn't really have beef with Sukuna. If anything, Sukuna helped him out. Like, Sukuna is the reason that Yuji could save his friends, and Sukuna actually gave Yuji a purpose, in a sense. Sure, it was a purpose to die, but, like, it was a purpose. Yuji didn't even have one of those. He was looking for one. So Sukuna was actually an asset way back when. But from the moment these two characters crossed paths, it was smoke. It was time. They all were like, okay, we've come to the consensus. We need smoke. This is a battle that... It's not like Gojo was introduced yesterday. It's not like he was introduced in chapter 221. No, this is something that's been building up since the manga's inception. And when did JJK start coming out? Back to the Googler immediately. When did JJK start coming out? When did Jujutsu Kaisen come out? Kaisen manga, not the anime. March 5th, 2018. This is the fight we've been building to for 5 years. Yeah, heck yeah, I want to see that fight. Like, what? I mean, I get what you mean. But, like, to keep with the wrestling analogy, what would you rather see? Would you rather see a guy who, after beating up and bullying a rookie, and that rookie getting... See, it's hard because I don't watch wrestling. But just imagine, what would you rather see? A guy who's been built up as the strongest wrestler, the strongest fighter ever, and another guy who's been built up as the other strongest fighter ever, would you rather see those two throw hands, or would you rather see the guy who's been hyped up as the strongest fighter ever fight a rookie? Like, which one sounds more interesting to you? Because that's essentially what this is. Even if the rookie has developed a whole bunch of hatred, say the strongest guy ever, like, beat up the rookie's dad, beat up the rookie's mom, beat up the rookie's kid sister, like, beat up everybody that the rookie knew, and was, like, just stomping on him and spat on him, and then spat on everybody else, and was like, yeah, I'm him, and then walked into the wrestling ring. Who do you want to see? The guy who's also been built up as the strongest, but, like, helped the other guy's mom up, helped the other guy's dad up, helped the rookie's kid sister up, and was like, don't worry, I'm gonna get him. Like, literally did that and came out. Who would you want to see the fight? The guy who will actually have a close pitch fight with the strongest dude, or the rookie who's gonna get dogged on just like the rest of his family did? I'm kind of want to see the guy who's hyped up as the strongest fight the other guy who's hyped up as the strongest. But maybe that's just basic. Maybe I'm just a basic guy. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like, too simple-minded. It's entirely possible. I am not that complex of a dude. Maybe I just want to see big punchy dude fight other big punchy dude. Maybe I'm just missing, like, the narrative heft behind this, but in my opinion, it would make less narrative sense for Yuji to fight Sukuna and put up any sort of fight, especially now that Megumi's been suppressed and there's no excuses that can be made, and the fact that he's not even at full power yet. And I don't think Liberated Yuji's beating 15 Finger if 15 Finger were properly unrestricted, like 15 Finger wanted to be against Yuji. Not to talk of full 20 Finger Maguna. It's like,
you have built-up beef that has
I'll let it
been
rock.
well built up since the beginning, just their hatred for each other, versus this random
I'm gonna keep saying it. Sukuna does not hate Yuji.
challenge and declaration of battle, and him losing in that. Like, my main problem is Gojo and Sukuna have literally nothing. And then there's also the entire thing of Gojo's not the main character either, which, yeah, that's pretty obvious, but still, I think.
And I also got to remember, Sukuna's not the main villain. Kenjaku is. I feel like there's this big misconception. Everyone says, oh yeah, Sukuna's the big final villain of JDK. No, he's not. Kenjaku is. Kenjaku is Aizen, essentially. Like, this is going to sound crazy, but I'd say realistically, Sukuna's like the Gin of JJK. Like, yeah, he's super strong, he's super important, he's super relevant, but he's not the big bad. He's not the big bad final villain of the story. Like, that was Aizen. He's not Yuhaba. He's just not. He's Yugrim. Like, sure, Sukuna is clearly stronger than Kenny, but just as you're right, Gojo isn't the main character, Sukuna's not the main villain. So what's the metric here? I don't know. Sukuna's a major antagonist, and sure, Kenny doesn't get introduced as the proper final villain up until a while after Sukuna's introduced. But still, Sukuna's not the main villain. He's an accessory, at most, to Kenjaku's plan. As Kenjaku said in Shibuya, Sukuna is a backup plan. He's not even what Kenjaku was really cooking. So it would actually make even more sense for a major side character to defeat a major villain versus the main character defeating a major side villain. The side against side would make more sense, in my opinion. I don't know.
That is something that people are putting in. People putting too much faith in Gojo because of recency bias, and just the fact Gojo just showed up again looking like this godly figure, and putting too much faith in him that he is going to win. Either that, or they...
Or, hear me out, Gojo's been built up as the strongest character and stated to be the strongest character in the manga as early as, once again, let me get the Googler out. As early as, it's making me, what's that? Where is it? Donde está? I know it's somewhere. I'm pretty sure that one statement of Satoru Gojo is super early in the manga. Like, very early. But let me check. It's a volume extra. It's a is that it? Is that it? But like, it's not. I mean, it's recency confirmation bias. I'll give you that. But it's not recency bias in the sense that, oh, Gojo was recently called the strongest character in the manga. Gojo was recently stated to have made the narrative. No! Bro's been sealed for 3 years. For more than half of the manga's publication, he's been sealed because he was too strong. Where is it? Maybe it's not as early in the manga as I thought. Nani daisuke desu ka? But, no, this isn't it. But regardless, like, the statement that Gojo's been the strongest character in the manga was not made forever. It was not made yesterday. Gojo being called the strongest or the embodiment of a power ceiling was not a statement made yesterday. So Gojo being a deity that has the final villain shaking and sweating in his boots was not a statement made yesterday. The whole plot for all up until Shibuya, the first 100 chapters of the manga was sealing Gojo away because he was the strongest. An unstoppable, immovable factor that simply needed to be removed. I get why people are saying it's recency bias, because it seems like that. But Gojo's been that dude. He's been him. This isn't like, I want to say it isn't rocket science, but it also isn't rocket news. This isn't something that's come out of nowhere. Like there are times in other series where a character gets introduced and they're super strong, and I'm like, wait, hold on a second, what? Like they come out of nowhere and they do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, where were you? Where were you this entire time? But not only do we always have knowledge of where Gojo is, but he literally was the MacGuffin. Like, Gojo is literally written as the MacGuffin that they need to free to fix the plot. So if he doesn't fix the plot, it would actually make less sense. It would actually go against this character. So I don't think this is recency bias, dog. Like, I legit don't think it can be chalked up to recency bias, because we've been known. It's not new news. This is a fight that's been set up since chapter 3. Like, like this is something we've been through. We've been through. Like, this is not new news, bro. We can't chalk this up to recency bias when he has the final villain shaking in his boots, has the third strongest character in the entire verse dookie on himself at the sheer thought of dealing with him. Dog, I don't know what I legit just don't know what else to say.
They're looking at this way too much through a power scalar perspective. Because from a power scalar perspective, I 100% get it. Because I fully agree with most of the power scalars. Most things that Sukuna has shown shouldn't beat Gojo. Like, Gojo objectively should win. But that is also what Gege has said to be Gojo's flaw. Gojo's abilities are not flawed, or at least to the degree he has them at now. He has mastered them. Like, he should be able to use them incredibly overpoweredly. Like, realistically speaking, what is stopping Gojo from teleporting behind Sukuna and hollow purpling his head off beforehand? And we also know impossible concept-based attacks do work on him when he's not adapted, thanks to the Yorozu fight. So realistically speaking, what is stopping him? Gojo's character. What is stopping Gojo from teleporting out of the way of Malevolent Shrine? Because he should be able to do that, especially considering Malevolent Shrine doesn't have barriers. His character. That is just the ultimate flaw behind Gojo, and that is why I think he will end up losing. Now, I don't think he's going to lose and not do anything in the process, because that would just be terrible for Gojo's character. I think he's going to end up losing, but being able to, in the long run, be able to help Megami get out of Sukuna in some way, shape, or form. Because Megami is not dead yet, and I refuse to accept that. I ultimately do think Gojo is going to lose. He's going to lose, but do something in the long run, but he is going to lose nonetheless. And trying to say that Gojo will narratively end up winning is just a really bad thing. Now, the power scaling debate can go on forever. I will admit that, but I just don't think it should be dragged into the narrative itself. The narrative itself just has like an
we can't separate the two, dog. Like, I hate to say it, Brody, but we can't separate the two. It's weird to say it, but it is Gojo's narrative to be the strongest. His whole, like, the most iconic line related to Gojo is, are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest, or are you the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Him being the peak of the verse is his character. He was conceptualized as the power ceiling of the verse. Like, it's hard to, like, it's nigh on impossible to remove it. Like, who's a character we can remove power scaling from in order to just completely detach it and just completely analyze their character narratively? Panda. Because Panda's cheap. No, I'm kidding. Am I? Am I really kidding? My chair will squeak right now if I'm not kidding. There we go, sweet. But regardless, like, dog, his whole narrative is, like, his whole character is that. Like, it's such a major part of his character. It's the reason he is the way he is. It's the reason his goal is the way it is. It's the whole reason he was still the way. Like, the whole story is based around the fact that Gojo's the strongest. Like, bro, this ain't rocket science. This is not mystical, magical, crazy stuff here. Like, this is just, it be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that, bro. Like, I don't know. I like, and let's separate it. Let's try. Let's attempt to separate it. I can't. I'm not smart enough to separate it. There we go. I'm just too stupid to separate it. But with that being the case, like, the idea that it would be, like, if we're looking at it from an author's perspective, let's do that. Let's look at it from an author's perspective. If I'm the creator of Gojo, and I've said on multiple occasions that Gojo's the strongest, I locked away Gojo in a box because I couldn't write the series with Gojo because Gojo was too powerful. I made that the entire main villain's ultimate super plan to get rid of Gojo because Gojo's too powerful. How much sense would it make from a narrative level to not have Gojo in? So I'm just going to contradict everything I said? I'm just going to contradict the entire narrative I built around this character. I'm going to contradict everything that I built up around this dude. And for what? So a character much weaker than him can come and win? Like, how does that even make sense? Like, from a writing perspective, how does that even make sense? How would you... That's like... Imagine there's a story that goes like this. Character A is going to win. Character A is going to win. Character A is the strongest. 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 And I just say this over and over again. It's a statement that applies for like 300 chapters straight of my story. And then in chapter 305, character A loses, and then character Z comes and beats character B that beat character A. Does that make sense? Like, the whole narrative up to this point has been building Gojo as the strongest. This is not new, bro. This is not crazy, revolutionary, insane in the membrane rocket science, bro. This is just fact. This is how it is. So saying that from a narrative will be unsatisfying, no, we've been building to this battle since chapter 3 of the whole manga, bro. We are in chapter 221. 217 chapters worth of buildup for this fight, dog. 5 years worth of buildup, dog. Like I said, I agree with you. I believe that Itadori should play a factor. I would flip it. I think Gojo should beat Sukuna, but Itadori should be the one to finish Sukuna. I think that's how it should go. But Itadori should not be able to beat Sukuna. That would be too narratively jarring. Itadori has never been set up as that guy. He's never been that much of that kind of main character. It's never been the case. You cannot argue in any point throughout every single time Yuji appeared to somewhat be the main character, he usually lost it not the chapter later. Every single time. He's not that kind of main character, bro. He's not the kind of main character that's going to come and beat the final villain just because he's the main character. We've clearly seen it doesn't work that way, especially within JJK. But we do have a character who's been built up as the strongest for all this time and has been hyped up to fight Sukuna since chapter 3.
Obvious story is following, in my own opinion. Right, there are several points that need to happen, one of which is obviously Gojo versus Sukuna and Sukuna ending up winning. I just see that as something very obvious to eventually happen. However, I can never predict the how it will happen. I just know it will happen.
So I ask you this. Sukuna wins. What's next? Sukuna wins, and what happens afterwards? He just kills everybody? I guess. I mean, I guess that could happen. Sukuna wins, everyone dies. That's the end. Because there's no other way. And sure, we can just have dark ending. If you believe JJK has been building up to a dark ending, fine. I don't even blame you. We've already offed a whole bunch of characters anyway. Why not just offer everybody else? But like, Sukuna winning means everyone dies. You don't believe Megumi's dead. Everyone else dies. That's the only thing that happens if Sukuna wins. The only way we get a bittersweet, not even a good ending, I remind you, a bittersweet ending is if Gojo wins. We've already lost so much. So many characters have already suffered. It would be cathartic for Gojo to win. But Sukuna winning would be the opposite of the cathartic. It would literally be death. Everyone dies. Is that what we're building to? Is that the kind of narrative we've been building to? Everyone dies, Sukuna was right, and that the weak should just stay the weak and everyone dies. Like, narratively, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't know. Not only on the fact that Sukuna's been built up as the strongest, but I just don't think Gege's trying to peddle that kind of narrative. I think the determination of the weak to rebel against the strong and the utilization of the strong to protect the weak and raise them up is the story we've been building so far. So Sukuna winning contradicts the entire narrative that we've set up to this point. So I don't know.
That is my prediction at the very least. That Sukuna is going to end up winning against Gojo. That my prediction is just going to ultimately be Sukuna is going to end up winning against Gojo because that is ultimately just much better for everyone's story, in my opinion. It also would amp up the stakes dramatically, like, to such an unparalleled...
How much more stakes raising do we need? Like, really, how much higher do the stakes have to go? Is the planet going to be destroyed? Like, is this... We already did that. Yuki almost already did that. She almost took away the whole planet with a black hole. How much higher do we need? Like, the reason we were jobbing characters to Gojo was to Sukuna, was so we could establish how powerful Sukuna was. But after Gojo, who's left, dog? Who's left? Who's going to beat Sukuna then? If anyone's going to beat Sukuna, it's not going to be Itadori. Because he's not been set up to be that kind of main character. He's not the main character that comes in and fixes everyone's problems. He's in fact the main character that comes in and gets more problems every time he tries to fix other people's problems. It's not Maki. We've already seen she's relative to 15 Finger, not to talk of 20 Finger. It's not going to be Akari, because Akari is struggling out here with Kashimo. Kashimo probably gets one-tapped by 15 Finger. No lie. I think that's just the case. It kind of just built up to be that way based on how Ryu got one shot. Ryu's not around anymore. Earl's obviously not going to do anything. She's shaking in her boots. Like, what? What more stakes need to be risen, dog? There's nothing higher. You don't go higher than the power ceiling of the verse. You don't. At least in my view, you don't. That's, in my opinion, that's bad writing. You don't establish a power ceiling and then have people break it. Like, that's one of my biggest issues with My Hero Academia. It established a power ceiling and then had like 5 different characters break it. I don't like that. And I don't think that's good writing. Because that proves that you couldn't just work within your power ceiling that you went out of your way to establish. That's the same thing here. Why break the power ceiling? What good narrative do you get out of that?
Agree. Because suddenly, what we thought would fix everything, what the characters thought would fix everything, doesn't fix it. And the characters themselves are going to have to step up. Now, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe Gojo and Sukuna just have some hidden beef that I do not know about that might get
He's inside his son, dog. You made the thumbnail. You made who is that? Who is that? Who's the character you mentioned not a minute ago, bro? Who is that? Well, let me think. Is that Nobara? on Sandora the Explorer type B. Is that Nobara? No. Who is it? Is that Maki? No. Is that Naobito? No. Megumi! Why? It's Megumi's Gojo's kid. That's beef. The two have only expressed interest in fighting each other. That's beef. Sukuna disregards everything else, including Itadori. That's beef. Sukuna literally got styled on by Gojo. He wants the run back. That's beef. It's like Gojo, once again, is the only character that Sukuna's expressed interest in fighting. It's the only one. Everyone else is just set dressing. So why? Why? Who else? What characters are meant to step up? You know, I'm going to make a video. 15 Finger Sukuna versus the entire JJK Avengers minus Gojo. explain to you why, well, explain to everybody why Gojo, well, Sukuna slams. Every single one of them. There's not a single thing any other character can do against Sukuna, except for Gojo. At least in my opinion. That's how I see it. So I don't see what you're getting, dog. Like, I don't know. The video's about to end. You got 40 seconds to try and convince me, bro. But not a single argument, especially the zero beef thing. You're really hammering in on this that they have no beef. That's just wrong. Like, I wish I could say, like, from a certain point of view, you're right. No, that's just wrong. He's in his son. These are the only two characters that express interest in fighting each other. To say they have no beef, no interest in conquest, and that there's been no build up to this battle, even though it was set up in chapter 3, is just blatantly incorrect.
Lord, during this 1 month amount of time before the actual fight happens. I doubt it, but maybe. Or maybe you guys have some theories down below. Be sure to comment down below your own thoughts on this video. And while you're down there, be sure to subscribe. I will see y'all later. Peace out.
I'll leave it. Like, I can't. I understand the YouTube algorithm, so I'm gonna let it run through. Ah. All right. So yeah, bro. You didn't get. I mean, and you can definitely argue I've just been stubborn. Like, maybe I'm just stubborn. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm fully willing to admit that I may have just missed something, or I may be seeing beef that doesn't exist. I may be seeing parallels that don't exist, bro. But I don't know. You failed to convince me on anything. Not a single point you brought up at all coincides. But maybe, once again, I am more than willing to be wrong. I'm more than willing to admit that I'm just dumb. I've missed very obvious narrative things before. So I may just miss it all and may just be blindly. I may just be a Gojo beat writer. I may be licensed. My license may be right over there. So maybe I'm just not seeing what you're seeing, but I don't know. Even from a narrative level, I do not see why, in any way, shape, or form, that Sukuna would beat Gojo. Because not only does it contradict all the slop that Gege is giving Gojo as the strongest character, not only does it contradict the idea of the Honored One versus the Honored One and their two ideologies clashing, that the ideology of working together should usually overpower the ideology of disregarding all others. Not only does it contradict that, not only does it contradict all the build-up that this fight has had up until chapter 3, not only does it contradict the idea of Gojo having to get retribution against someone he's been also built up to fight ever since it was introduced that the Ten Shadows technique user also fought the Limitless user and both destroyed each other. Like, it's been built up in so many different ways, so that the idea that these characters have no beef, no investment, and no build-up in fighting each other just seems absolutely wrong to me. But still, irregardless of all that, W video indeed. Still, the editing was good. The story was good. I like the discussion points, but no, I disagree with everything you've said. Still a good video though. Like, don't take all my disagreements for not saying that's a good video. That's still a W video. However, regardless, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this chunk of a video, please remember to leave the fallen in the comment section down below if you made it all the way to the end. Leave the fallen if you made it all the way here. However, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. It's over visible as one. Count them one. Now I'm up to get things like exclusive video. Two again. To get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you so much once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.